In this video we're going to look at finding the area of a circle. Now we have a formula that helps us calculate the area of a circle, and that's pi r squared, where a is the area of the circle, r is the radius, and again we can use pi as 3.14 or use the pi button. So whenever we're thinking, and it's important that we don't get confused, circumference is pi times d, and area is pi times r squared. So one involves the diameter and one involves the radius. So we just have to try and be careful not to mix those up. So pi times d is the circumference and pi times r squared is the area. I'm going to briefly show you the area of a circle and where it comes from. So if you've got a circle and we were to lie out the circumference, then what we've got is the circumference is shown here. We can dissect it, so that's just cutting it into different parts, and then we can slide along to rearrange it. So if we lay them out flat, you can see that there's 6 parts have been laid out, and it forms this line. And this line, the black line, is the circumference of the circle. So the black line is the circumference, and up until the red part is half of the circumference. And half of the circumference, if we know the circumference is pi d or 2 pi r, then half of the circumference is going to be pi r. If we move the blue parts and keep sliding them along, then they'll overlap with the red parts. Now, if we were to split the circle into smaller parts, so when we had split the circle into 6, if we split it into 30, this is what the shape would look like. If it was 58, and if we do it to a lot more, then we can see the shape resembles a rectangle. So what are the dimensions of this shape? Well, what we've got is the radius is r, and half of the circumference. So remember, we divided it out amongst the full circumference and then folded it back on top of itself. So this is half the circumference. So what's the area of the circle? Well, the circumference, we should remember, is pi d, but then half of the diameter is the radius, so it's pi r. So this length is pi r, and this is the radius, which is r, and if we multiply those two together, we get pi r squared. So example 6, find the area of the circle when the radius is 9. So we know the area is pi times r squared. So that's going to be pi times 9 squared, which is pi times 81. And if we put that into our calculator, we get an answer of 254.469 or 254.5 squared centimeters. And it's an area, so the units have to be squared centimeters. Example 7, find the area of the circle when the diameter is 19. So what we have is the area is pi times r squared. Now we're told that the diameter is 19, and we know the relationship between the diameter and the radius is that the diameter is twice it. So if we divide by 2, we get 9.5, that's the radius. So the area is going to be pi times 9.5 squared, which is pi times 90.25, which gives us an answer of 283.5287 or 283.5 squared centimeters. Calculating the area of a shape involving parts of a circle. Again, some problems involve parts of a circle and ask us to find the area of the shape. So we must, however, be careful with the area of the relevant part. Now, if we were asked to work out a quarter of a circle, we know this is a quarter of a circle because the angle is 90 degrees and the full angle in a circle is 360 degrees, and that fraction simplifies down to a quarter. If the angle we were given was 45 degrees, then if we put that as a fraction out of 360, that would be an eighth of the circle. If we were given 30 degrees angle, then if we put that as a fraction out of 360, then that would be a 12th of the circle. So if we want to know the fraction of the circle involved, if we put the angle over 360 and simplify, that'll tell us how much of the circle we need. So example 1, calculate the area of this shape. So we need to figure out what fraction of the circle that is. And 60 out of 360 simplifies to 6 over 36, which simplifies to a sixth. So this is a sixth of the circle. So we know the area of the full circle is pi times r squared, which is pi times 4 squared, or pi times 16. And if we put that into our calculator, we get an answer of 50.265. But we're not asked for the full circle, we're asked for a sixth of it. So a sixth of the area is going to be 50.265 divided by 6, or multiplied by 1/6, and that gives us an area of 8.37758, which is 8.38 squared centimetres to 2 decimal places. Example 2, calculate the shaded area. So what we have in this is a large circle minus a small circle. So if we work out the area of the large, that's going to be pi times r squared. Now we're told the large circle has a diameter of 8, that means the radius is 4, because to work that out we divide it by 2. So it's pi times 4 squared, which is pi times 16, which gives us an answer of 50.265 squared centimetres. The area of the small circle is going to be again pi times r squared. Now we weren't given we were given the diameter, not the radius, but if we divide by 2, we get the radius is going to be 2. So it's going to be pi times 2 squared, which is pi times 4, which gives us an answer of 12.566 squared centimetres. So the shaded area is going to be 50.265 minus 12.566, which gives us an answer of 37.699, or 37.7 squared centimetres to 1 decimal place.